definitely the main thing is just seeing what the
take the colour off it.
Yeah.
Well, hi there, Ross here from DGTV. Thanks for joining us on the channel again. Well, today we've got a very anticipated and eagerly awaited release of the new TSR range from Titleist, the new drivers and fairways, replacing the TSI, which were already super popular, a whole stack of wins on tour. Now, TSR, we've already had a very own, you can see his bag there, Cam Smith, who won the Open and has also won on Live Golf with TSR in his bag. Cam Young finished runner-up to Cam Smith at the Open, first up with the TSR. Will Zalatoris has won with the TSR. Max Homa has won with the TSR. Tom Kim and JT Poston. 5 out of the first 11 tour events since the TSR debuted have resulted in the TSR being in the winner's hands. That's a pretty significant feat. Now, I'm here to check out the TSR range and to give you an overview of what makes it so special. What are some of the updates to help us understand why the TSR is so special? I've got a couple of the friends here from Titleist. They're our great partners here at Drummond Golf in Australia. They help us understand what makes this product so special. They help us understand how to fit it correctly. So they're a really valuable asset to us. I've got Gene Saunders, who's the National Product Manager for Titleist. He's worked all around the world with the brand. And Jonathan Law, who's the National Fitting and Experience Manager. He's just taken me through a fitting process. I might have found myself another driver to get into the bag. Let's check out the new TSR.
I'm going to steal that one off you straight up, Ross. So we've got the TSR2 here. So we've got 3 models, 2, 3 and 4. So 2 is going to be the highest flying, 3 is going to be just a little low on that, and then we've got 4 there for the player that really needs some help to reduce their spin. So across the lineup here, we've really got 3 things that we worked hard and saw as an area opportunity to make these better than previous generation TSI. The first is Aerodynamics. We worked really hard on reshaping all of these drivers to make sure that you could get them through the air a little bit quicker to help us to get the ball down range a little bit further. So working on shaping the crown, shaping the sole, making that as efficient as possible. Also how we reshape the toe and how that worked through. So with that, that's going to give us a little bit more speed. We also made some changes to the face. So in the 2 that I have here in my hand, we have a multi-layer VFT or variable face thickness. So starting with a consistent thickness in the middle and then working out in rings right the way across. And so what that's going to do is give us the ability to maximize your efficiency right the way across the face. Seeing some really impressive gains with those 2 working in concert. And the third in 2, 3 and 4 is also working really hard on our center of gravity positioning and making sure we optimize that for players in concert with the moment of inertia. So in the 2 that I have in my hand here, it's a little bit further forward, it's a little bit lower down, and we're seeing that that's helping us to add a little bit more launch and speed and a great amount of consistency right across the face. So with the 3, again, a little bit of a different working again on that Aerodynamics, a little bit of a different face. We've got the speed ring face in this one. So we know that this is for a player that hits the center a little bit more or is a little bit more direct with their strike. So it requires a different face design. So with this one, it's a little bit, sounds a little strange, but it's a little thicker on the outside. That gives us a little bit more spring through the middle. Works a little bit like a tennis racket in terms of getting the ball out there. And then we know that some players, will hit it a little in the heel or a little toe. TSR3 can be great for those players. Can help us to get it optimized for that, get them more ball speed, and also moving with the SureFit CG here, we can also help players in terms of changing their shape, whether it be less or more. And then TSR4, we've got dual weights. So we've got a weight in the front and a weight in the back. So in the frontward position here, that's going to really help us to drive that spin down. And we know that's going to be for most players, but when we flip it and move the heavier weight to the back, lighter weight to the front, it plays a little bit like a 3.5 mini because it's only 430 cc's. So it's a little bit smaller option. So that gives us, I guess, another option, another layer there. But predominantly, we think most players are going to go to the front because they're going to use this as a low spin driver. So the face in this one, horses for courses, so we've got that multi-layer VFT again in the front, same as we do in the TSR2, and what that's going to do is that's going to help us maximize that speed across the face. We know that with the smaller head that we're going to get a little bit less forgiveness out of it, so having that face in there is going to help us to keep that consistency of speed, launch and spin up for golfers that fit best into TSR4.
Gene, of course there's a whole range of loft configurations starting at 8 degrees and going up through to 11 degrees. Really easy to get fit for these and to get those specs dialed in for your game across those options. Thanks very much. I might go and have a hit of this one actually.
Change the shaft as well. Just the Tensei Black, which is lower spin product. When you have this.
Gene, so we've been through the heads. Let's talk about the shaft options that are available in the TSR. Let's start with the driver shaft options because they've changed. There are some familiar looks, but the profile and some of the shaft name and terminology have changed and been updated. So let's talk about those.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we're building out our new model of drivers and fairways, we know kind of the profile of shafts where we want to have performance options for players, and each time around, we're trying to make sure that matches up well with our stock products and also give a broad range of options for players and work really closely with the shaft companies to do that. So let's start with what we end up fitting you to in the driver is the Tensei 1K Black. So a lot of players would have played the white version of this in the past and would be quite familiar with that. This time around, this generation is going to be probably play a little bit firmer than maybe last generation and what some players would be used to play in the past, but seeing more and more players getting bigger, faster, stronger, more aggressive swingers and having this in the line a little stronger than it's been in the past, we think is going to be a good thing, and we're certainly seeing some early success with that. So that's the Tensei 1K Black there, and in a similar space, just a little bit higher fly, more in that mid to low space, we've got the next generation of the Hazardous Black. So again, probably going to be more for your more aggressive swinger, someone that's trying to control the flight down a little bit at either one of those two. This time around, some improvements in terms of the way they've built it up, trying to deliver a little bit more consistency in terms of torque and torsional, and we're certainly seeing that. A lot of the early feedback from players is that they're liking the difference in feel here and feeling a little bit tighter through the air with that one. In the mid-flight, you hear it a lot, the blue board, it's got a lot of different names. It's back to the days of the Kylie. Each time Mitsubishi come out with something in that space, it's gone from Diamana into Tensei and some of the the variants of that within their family. But the new AV series, so we've got a new technology called X-Link this time around, which again, a bit of a familiar theme is that trying to keep a lot of the weights here, a lot of the profiles, a lot of the flights that we think are going to be good for players, but add just a little bit more stability for those players so as that it feels, like you've got control of it a little bit better. And each time around, we think we've done that. This is, that classic mid-flight, mid-weight. It's very smooth profile, and a lot of players do tend to fit well into this one. Something a little bit different that we haven't done in the past is a counterbalance design in our featured shafts. So we've got something new from Hazardous. It's a Hazardous Red CB. So this is going to be one that's for the player that's looking to go, looking for a little more height, a little more help to get the ball up in the air, a little bit lighter weight as well. So this is going to be in a driver in that 50 gram sort of weight. Also counterbalanced option as well. That's going to give a little bit of awareness in the hands of the player, help get a little bit of maybe zip down the other end. Done a lot of testing in this space, and we think this is going to be a nice option to be able to add in there. And so something that's a little bit different from what we've had in the past, but certainly being received really well in the early days.
How do they counterbalance it?
So counterbalance can work a couple of different ways. It's probably a good lead into one of the other technologies that we use in the Tensei Blue, which is the straight flight weighting. So the straight flight weighting gives what they're looking to do is add a little bit of tungsten pre-peg, a little bit of weight here around the grip area, gives a little bit more awareness to the player in their hands, gives them the ability to then square that face up a little bit. Sometimes you might have heard in the past, that light goes right scenario. In both of these options, different ways to do it. Within each brand, they all have their own strategy and technology to do that, but trying to give that little bit of awareness to the player in terms of that. What we've found sometimes with counterbalance too, for some players, that can help them a little bit with their speed as well. Or players that prefer a heavier head weight on occasion, counterbalance is a really great option as well. Or overall weight, we can start to put a bit more weight in the head, counterbalance the shaft a little bit and help to bring that to them there, a little bit of stability or meet and suit their field preference. But overall, Hazardous CB is going to be there to help that player that's really looking to gain a little bit more speed, gain a little bit more height.
we got some custom exotic options?
We do. I mean, all of our what people would say stock, we call them featured shafts are aftermarket shafts. So we don't have anything that's in, I guess, a made-for scenario. We always go real deal, and these are, you know, premium if we wanted to go and buy these anywhere in an aftermarket scenario. But we do also have what we call, I guess, premium shafts within our lineup that will work, that we would do in stock builds that you can buy straight off the shelf, but they're also part of the fitting kits out there for a number of our advanced fitting partners. So we've got from Graphite Design, again, looking to get different flights out of these, different performance options. This is one that worked really well for yourself in the fairway, the UB. So the UB is going to probably be the lowest flying out of these options. It's probably going to be that mid to low flying type of shaft. As I think Graphite Design players, it's a unique type of feel. It tends to be a little bit lower torque than what a lot of other shafts are, and people tend to like the stability that comes with that if you're that way inclined. And so this one's going to be a little bit, I guess, out of the three, the slightly lower flying shaft. Your Graphite Design DI is going to sit in the middle. This one's it's one of those shafts been around for quite a while. It's very recognisable out there on tour.
It certainly is.
Keeps on keeping on.
It's great.
It's a really good performing shaft. That's probably going to fly in the middle a little bit. And if someone's hit the DI and you're curious about the UB, probably you could think almost like, hey, something that's slightly stiffer in the tip for the UB than the DI. And then, you know, if you're looking at the next sort of step up in flight, it's going to be more that mid to high. If we're looking at the Graphite Design, the IZ there, so that's going to have a little bit more give through the middle of the shaft. Most people would describe it as, in this case, that's going to help it to fly it up a little bit higher out of the three, and so that kind of gives us three performance options, and, you know, certainly in a different feel and a little bit of a different weight category, with each of these coming in the mid 60s in the what we'd call in a stock build, but we certainly offer them in, you know, 5s, 6s and 7s, as we do with the other featured shafts in a variety of weights.
So as I've just experienced, you know, there really is within this set of shafts here, and, you know, we ended up deciding on choosing between a flex and a weight category in this one from a driver, and then we started with the same shaft in the fairway, but then we've ended up in this, and really we found two great options for me. Hopefully the fitting the video that we make backs that up. Certainly for me, it definitely backs it up. But, you know, once again, it just worked really well in the three-wood head for me, and this worked really well in the driver head. So, you know, you've got options, and that's the important part about getting fit. You have options to really, you know, maximise your performance. And as Gene said, you know, these feature shafts are, you know, premium items. And then we got the Tour AD. So fantastic options there for everyone in the TSR range.
What are we looking at? Well, that shape's consistent. That's what you like to see. Strike location's a little bit low in the face, slight towards the heel. So you should certainly look at whether 45.5 inches of length is the correct length for you. Really keen to see what TSR2 does for you in terms of that strike location that you tend to get, and also, you know, how we can sort of straighten up the flight a little bit more for you as well.